can't stop. I got motion. I'm moving. I'm going. Can't lose focus. I got motion. I'm moving. I'm going.
Red Corner Boxing. We're in the game.
Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Red Corner Boxing. My name is Mr. Neutral. That's my co-host, the Boxing Man, and this is Defying the Odds, Episode 2. Before we get started, this program is sponsored by EasyStories.com for all your local and nationwide needs, and Boxing Fight Zone for our boxing merchandise and apparel partners. Many thanks to them. Well, Brett, we're back for episode 2 of Defying the Odds, your creation and invention on this series. And we've picked a couple of bangers tonight, haven't we, mate?
Yeah, mate, to be honest with you, these are etched in my heart anyway. But to go back last night and relive them both again was pretty special. I mean, I won't steal the thunder before you announce them, but one of them really played at the heartstrings. Really played at the heartstrings.
Yeah, and for many reasons, and we'll discuss them. But the two Defying the Odd boxers tonight has to be the one and only Mr. Ricky Hatton and Mr. Carl Froch. Both fights were defining in so many ways for so many different reasons for these boxers, which we'll explore. But Brett, we've been looking forward to these two, and we're going to start off with Kostya, the great Kostya versus Ricky Hatton from the Manchester arena in obviously in Manchester in 2005. First and foremost, what do you remember about the occasion on that? Yeah. What at that time in your life, that fight, what does it mean to you?
Well, to be honest, mate, again, reliving it last night, even goosebumps just talking about it right now, is that what we used to do as a young pups in the world of, we were all allowed out in the bars and things like that, but what we always did on a Ricky Hatton night is that we went around one of the lads' house, we filled it, and all we did all night is sing "There's Only One Ricky Hatton," and it was just the neighbours would be all pissed off, and but just reliving that of there was no rivalries, there was no I like this boxer, you like that boxer. It was just. It's the Ricky Hatton night, and we're all getting together across the country. And like Jams has put there, he did the same. He, fill the house full of lads, get some cheap pizzas, a crate of Carlin, and you were happy. And you were very often at the end of the night singing in joy because Ricky had done it again. But this particular night, I do remember Tszyu being a heavy favourite, and there was an air of nervousness about him because you supported Ricky like you support your own football club. That's how you supported him. It meant something to you. And going into this one, I remember being extremely nervous, especially watching Tszyu at that time. He was arguably pound for pound number one at the time, and boy could he bang as well. So it was always going to be a spectacle. But at the pre-fight, we didn't know which way it was going to go. We just hoped and prayed it'd be Ricky's night.
Yeah, then the party. See, Ricky Hatton, he sort of. I don't think, and he was even on a grander scale. The days of maybe Nigel Benn and Frank Bruno.
Yeah.
Who had that sort of popularity level where they have like pure crowds there for them. Not many had that British level, British elite level. So when Ricky Hatton. And of course, it was timed at showtime, wasn't it? Time late in the morning in Manchester, and just to get the American audience in and that, and the crowd. This is what I remember most about it. That crowd was off its head.
Oh, mate. It's again spine tingling because I was looking at it going, if Ricky's about in this generation, we're going to Wembley every time, aren't we? Like, you know, there's one thing to be said about Eddie Hearn, and he broke the mold with stadium fights on a regular, right? You know, obviously he did it with one of the guys that we're going to talk about next, Carl Froch, and then he consistently has done it with AJ. Now, somebody as superstar as Ricky was at the time, you know, put him in this era, and we're filling out the stadium every single time. But the one thing about being in a smaller stadium is, well, or an arena, is it's electrifying when they sing. Electrifying, and the decibels of that noise were off the chart, and you could feel it every single time there's a punch landed. The roar from the crowd, just incredible. And just to go back slightly, I was thinking about this. You're absolutely right. I do feel like it's probably only him and Bruno that did great fan bases. You know, it was like you supported Bruno, you might have supported Chris Eubank, or you supported Nigel Benn, but with you supported Bruno. Bruno united the country, and so did Ricky Hatton.
Yeah, that was the comparison. I've never seen that level of fandom for a boxer since Frank Bruno. You know, on these shows at least, you know. But you were quite correct as well in terms of was pound for pound number one. You know, at that time, one of the hardest punching super lightweights ever in the last 30 years previous, you know, to this fight in 2005. I mean, he was a phenomenon. This Russian-tongued Australian, amateur level, done it all, world championships. But when he turned pro, in his first 15 fights, he's fought 2 former world champions, 1 future world champion, and a former 2-time 2-weight world champion in Roger Mayweather.
Yeah.
You know, the guy was phenomenal. You know, he's knocking people out for fun. And of course, he won his first IBF title back in 1996. Now, he had got a shock defeat against Vince Phillips a year later. And however, he went on an 8-year fucking undisputed, you know, unbeaten run, and picking up names along the way. Crazy names. Hector, you know, Hector Chavez, Cesar Chavez, Miguel Angel Gonzalez, Hurtado, Shamba Mitchell to unify super lightweight, and then knocking out Zab Judah in the second round.
Zab Judah.
Oh my God.
And Zab Judah was a killer at that point, by the way.
Absolute killer, mate. And when he done that, that just elevated Kostya onto another level.
Stratosphere platform.
Undisputed super lightweight champion, first undisputed in 30 years. And he just went on that incredible run. And then it all went sort of wrong just before the Ricky Hatton fight for him. He got injured after retention against Jesse James Leisure, another future world champion. But he beat him. He actually retired in the 6th round. But he chose to rematch Shamba Mitchell for some reason or another. And he got injured in the meantime. And that got put off. But instead of defending it or doing a mandatory for his WBA and WBC titles, he vacated them and was stripped or whatever.
Yeah.
So when he fought Ricky, it was only for the IBF and the Millennial, which was Ring Magazine, which was a shame because, you know, he didn't need to take that Shamba Mitchell fight. He knocked the guy out in the 3rd round anyway. You know, yes, 2 mandatories. I don't know why. I would have thought at that level, you would have just thought, you know, I'm undisputed. I'm going to stay that way. But it wasn't to be. But, you know, got that Ricky Hatton fight. Now, there was, as I say, heavy favourite. Ricky was the WBU champion at the time. He was on, incredible run himself. Many were saying in the media, that, especially the American media, that Ricky was a protected fighter, which sort of really annoyed Ricky, didn't it?
Yes.
And, you know, Although they're very
cushioned record, they said, didn't they? Cushioned record.
Cushioned record, that was it.
Cushioned record.
And the Americans, they don't hold back now. But he was still a heavy favourite. Nobody gave, even on home ground in Manchester in front of a baying crowd. They knew what Tszyu was all about. And, the bookies had him as a heavy favourite. Now, we're going to get into the fight itself now. We got a short video to show the guys, mate. But just give a final, the guys in the audience, a final, what you were feeling just before that bell. What was going through your mind?
Yeah, if we're going to talk about just before the bell, just remember that literally as I am now, mate, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat talking about it. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go to war for him. And that's what Ricky Hatton did to you, mate. And like I say, the goosebumps were coming through me like crazy last night when I was reliving it. But just remember being with my best mates, sitting on the edge of our sofa, all giving each other the hug before, come on, let's go. And, there's always one lad probably in the corner that was pissed up because he couldn't handle the late kickoff. But at the end of the day, we were ready to go, mate. Absolutely ready to go. Like I am right now.
You can imagine people there. It's 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
They're flaking out. But all of a sudden, the ring walk. Yeah. And what a ring walk it was. 2 minutes long. And he soaked it all up. And man, he fed off that coming into this opening bell. And talking of opening bells, here he goes. Roll the tape, Jams.
This crowd is as ready as we are. Live from Manchester, England, Kostya Tszyu meets Ricky Hatton.
Over the past few years, Kostya Tszyu has grown into an all-time great, if not a living legend. He's the best fighter in the best division in boxing. But tonight, Tszyu faces a severe test. Ricky Hatton, if he upsets Kostya Tszyu, boxing will have one more legitimate superstar. Will it be an unforgettable night of boxing here in Manchester, England?
It's that crowd.
Off to a maddening start.
Soak it up.
Defend yourself at all times. Good luck to you both.
Ricky Hatton can't afford even the slightest mistake. That's when Tszyu strikes swiftest and hardest. There's that left hook sticking to the body by Tszyu, showing a little more confidence on him. He just got tagged.
I was worried about this strategy. We'll talk about that after the video.
Storming. Kostya Tszyu, almost a 4-1 favorite in Las Vegas.
Some great action here.
So this one really raising some eyebrows. Straight right hand by Kostya.
He's really got that crowd whipped up. He's got everybody at home whipped up. He's taking this fight to Tszyu. That was a low blow.
And it's not a knockdown. He's saying it's low. That punch is very low by Ricky Hatton.
He got his revenge.
No more shenanigans. That could be a seminal moment in this fight. Ricky Hatton is
Look at the way Ricky was just belligerently coming forward on Tszyu. And he couldn't handle it. Tszyu was not prepared for this kind of strategy. Going to work on him on the ropes. The crowd are going mad. You had to be there to feel that.
Against the man considered supreme at 140 over the last decade.
Absolute crazy atmosphere.
It's over. It's over. Kostya Tszyu not coming out for the 12th round. And Ricky Hatton exults. An emotional Ricky Hatton has won the fight.
Look at that.
There will be no 12th round.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's only a short video. Obviously, we couldn't go round by round or anything like that. So, I did a wee analysis last night, of what I saw, and quite very quickly, Tszyu was coming in at 35 here, hadn't fought for 2.5 years.
Yeah, he's a
Big Leo since knocking out Mitchell in the third round in his first fight. But he always prepares well. He was slightly overweight in this fight. He was 3 ounces overweight in the weigh-in, so he had to work that off in a bit of a road run. But he done it. No excuses. He never offered that. But Hatton from round one, and the strategy was mad for me. It was like a brilliant pressure job against one of the hardest punches the world has ever seen at super lightweight.
Hey, I've got to say, round one, Ricky roughed him up.
He roughed him up. Well, he did for 2 rounds. You know, the first 2 rounds, it was clear Ricky, but it wasn't pretty. It wasn't accurate. It was just sheer overwhelming. Kostya, with all sorts of angle punches, brilliant stuff. But round 3 gets caught rushing in. First 2 punches in the first 10 seconds of round 3, gets caught twice, weathers the storm, but loses the round for me. I had round 4 as well.
Was you surprised that Ricky, because I suppose it was just his will, in those early rounds and into the late rounds, Tszyu started with an overhand right every time, every time, and it landed as well.
This is what I mean. The commentators were saying. They were saying. I remember seeing at the time. Can he keep doing that? Keep getting caught? Can he keep taking it? And by round 4, I had it at 2-2. Rounds 5 and 6. Now the strategy continues. Hatton is just tunnel vision. I don't know whether he was feeding off the crowd, whether it's the occasion, whether it was the fact that this was for an actual IBF title, first major sanctioning body belt that he was going. His 35th, 36th? I can't remember what fight it was, but he was unperturbed by the accuracy of Tszyu, who was landing on him, as you quite rightly said. He kept landing, and then you think to yourself, how long can he keep doing? But 7 and 8, Hatton starts to take control for me, really does, and he starts to get more accurate. He's out dogging.
Round 8 for me. Tszyu is not liking this pressure.
Not loving it.
You can tell
listen to this.
Body language.
Listen to this. Now, this is what I've written down. A low blow by Hatton, right, was a bit of a relief to Tszyu, wasn't it? Because he took an extended break. And he starts to look bewildered by the relentless Hatton, proving to the world that he belonged at that level. That was the round for me. That it proved to me that Hatton he deserved to be in that ring.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? 100%. And Tszyu appeared done in. 5-3 up, I had Hatton at that point, round 8. 9 and 10. The sense of Hatton and the crowd were just baying every punch that he was landing. It was inspiring. It really was. And I just thought Tszyu was on autopilot from that point onwards, Brett. And the inevitable.
Was it in round 10 or 9? Ricky hit him with a triple uppercut. He hit him with a triple uppercut, mate. And it was just like, you could just see Kostya like, who is this guy? Who is he?
Ricky takes a couple of shots before catching Tszyu. But Kostya rallies to catch Hatton back with triple.
Yeah, you wrote it down.
And Hatton still bullies the champ. He's bravely hanging in there, but 7-4 up at it. And he retired at the end of that round. He simply didn't have it anymore. The 26-year-old Hatton had simply outdogged him. And he took every ounce of resources out of Tszyu. He chased him everywhere. And I've never seen a strategy like that. It was wonderful to watch. It really was.
And in the 11th, when he doesn't come out for the final round, if you remember, it's because he perforated his eardrum. I think he did that early. I think Tszyu gave him a few more rounds after he perforated it, and then he knew he was going to lose the fight, and he wasn't sensing a knockout, so he pulled himself out. I mean,
Jonathan Lewis threw the towel in, didn't he?
Yeah.
For Kostya.
I mean, listen, you got to be careful with statements like I'm about to say, because there's levels in the game, isn't there? But I always believe that there's that night in a man's career where it's going to be their night. And of course, you can't be miles off the level of which Ricky wasn't miles off Kostya Tszyu, but he was defying the odds. Let's have it right. He was defying the odds. But from, like you said, with no strategy from round one, he just ran at him and said, I'm going to hit him. I see him. I don't know what angle I'm going to hit him from, but I'm going to hit him and I'm going to pressure him. I'm going to pressure him. And Tszyu was just like, what is this? What is this? And, what a night. What a night.
Defying the odds. I mean, because as we said before, the media, the American audience, the British, of course, would give Hart a chance. But in reality, all the British media, hardcore Jesse Hart and Stevie Bunce, all the rest of them, didn't give Hart an nod in that one.
Yeah. Mr. Neutral, big shout out to LFC. Obviously was at the fight. Jam's just put a couple of comments up. So thanks for tuning in, buddy. It's great to have you here with us. And yeah, he said here, look, I have never heard before the place explode. I've never heard before. Incredible scenes. Incredible scenes.
That's what struck me about the place as he was coming in for the ring walk. When he actually came in and people saw Ricky, the place exploded. And I thought, what is that going to be like if he actually wins? Unreal. Defying the odds. Kostya Tszyu, former undisputed super lightweight champion. He would knock out people for fun from his fourth fight, former world champions, future world champions. He, at that time, he beat them all. There wasn't anybody he didn't face. And
it's like we said. It's like we said off camera. Ricky had his troubles, obviously, as we all know, and we won't go into it tonight. And God rest his soul. But can you imagine having a night like that in your life, like as any form of individual or whatever you do in your life? I mean, most people's proudest moment is when their kids are born and things like that, and you are euphoric when you've defied the odds like that, and you've got 30,000 people screaming and loving you, and the emotion just cures out your body. And at this time, if there was all love with his family, there was no falling out going on. This was when the Hatton household all loved each other. That right there has to be the greatest moment in his life. And I would imagine all his fans are pleased to say that they were there with him,
Oh, absolutely. It was a wonderful 2 years after that. He unified light welterweight with that win over Carlos Massa, knocking him out. And then stepped up to welterweight to win that WBA title off Luis Calazzo. Before going back to light welterweight, and won the IBF and vacant IBO lightweight titles because he had retained his ring lightweight world title at the same time against Juan Orango. Another defense against Jose Luis Castillo where he knocked him out in the fourth round. He won that vacant WBC international belt. It was an incredible period for British boxing at that time. And that elevated him to superstar status, didn't it?
Can I say something about the era, though, mate, of what I reflect really fondly on? This day and age where you've got Hitchens ringside laughing at Cruz losing and things like that. You've got all these things that's happening right now. When you look at that era, go back to it, all boxers were at the side of the ring cheering, even if they were in the same division as them. Cheering them on. Like there's multiple boxers that were ringside for that fight that were all cheering them on. And you think about Bruno's finest nights, Naz's finest nights. You look around that time, and other fighters were behind their Brits, and it's amazing to see. Whereas that's gone out the game now. It's all rivalries. It's all like no emotion no one's jumping up in case they become a meme or whatever. There's no emotion, but to see other boxers being super proud of Ricky and think about all the people that came out in force when he sadly passed away. He was just a loved figure, wasn't he? And this night will be etched in my heart as a boxing fan forever.
Absolutely, 100% correct. It's a different generation of fans, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
this generation of fans are far less appreciative of what they're seeing at the time, what they've got, what we had back in the day. We revered and showed that love. But you know, such as society, such as
for sure.
evolution
For sure.
in sport. But I feel that the characters are just not there that they were back then, like Ricky Hatton, like Frank Bruno, even as far as Boron and Lennox Lewis. There's no characters just like them around today that can, you know, match up to that passion or the way they sold the fight back in them days. But look, let's move on to the second part of our Defying the Odds series. And this is another belter. This is probably very close to your heart, Mr. Boxing Man. An old Nottingham connection here, ladies and gentlemen. Carl Froch, the Cobra, up against Jermain Bad Intentions Taylor, former undisputed middleweight titleist. He'd beaten them all, hadn't he? And let's talk briefly about, again, just the enormity of, you know, the prospect in hand on foreign soil.
Yeah, you know, I dare say again, other than his loyal fan base, Carl has obviously got a very loyal fan base from Nottingham. Other than those, I wouldn't have seen that anybody would have predicted that Froch could do this, because Jermain Taylor, obviously, he had his flaws as a boxer, and he dipped late on in his career, but he was almost a complete fighter, wasn't he? He could box, he could bang, he could rough you up, and he wasn't. You know, he knew Froch was a brawler, but he wasn't bothered about that. And as we break it down, that was very evident in round one. He tried to bully Froch straight out the gate. But going back to what you said pre-fight, yeah, no, I would imagine this is why we're doing this one as well as Defying the Odds, because this is a huge defying of the odds.
No. I was thinking about the enormity, what Hatton had to deal with, but this was on another level because you've got the politics of, all right, Darren, you got the politics to deal with here. You had Brett staying up late to watch Carl Froch. It's a very lonely community when it's at that time of night because you know you're only there with the hardcore fans. So when you're watching these things and you're watching American commentators just absolutely waffle their way through round after round after round, just build a case against any foreign fighter, whether it be British, whether it be South African or European. That was always the thing. And again, that's what we got, because that will become prevalent at the end of the fight, what I'm talking about now. But Carl Froch was the WBC super middleweight champion. You know, Jermain Taylor, as we said, an absolutely fantastic fighter, very dangerous, could do it all. However, was not considered a finisher. And this was probably the reason for me why he lost the fight against Carl Froch, because he had him at some point, didn't he, Brett?
Yeah.
Now, as I said, former undisputed middleweight, beaten Bernard Hopkins twice. No mean feat in itself. Marquez Williams, Raul Marquez, who we here at Red Corner Boxing interviewed a few weeks ago. Excuse me, Dan. Excuse me a minute. That's my wee dog. Just going.
Mr. Neutral's dog.
Milo, shut up, sit down. Right. He's a good wee boy. Now, as I said, okay, right. You want to come up? He wants some attention. Right?
Love it.
There he is. Right. I gotta go on with the show now. And it was it seemed an impossible task, even for Froch at that time. Now, what again? I ask you, as a big fan of Carl Froch, what was going through your mind, even with this fight? With maybe, I don't know if you're on your own, with your pals again. But again, the enormity, the hackles on the back, you got the doubts going through your mind. You look big and strong. Tell us what was going on.
This was a different one for me. Yes, I was with my mates, but half of the room wanted him to lose.
Really?
We're at a time where people were Calzaghe fans.
Ah,
see what I mean?
Right.
So it start, like I said to you, there's not many boxers that I can think of that never divided a fan base, and Ricky certainly never divided a fan base. But Carl did. Carl had his doubters, and a few people didn't like his arrogance. So I was in a room where I was dealing with that. Yeah, we were up in the middle of the night waiting for this fight, but it was half and half. And I remember thinking, he's got it all on here. He's got it all on. And you never thought Carl Froch was ever going to be knocked out, did you? You never thought no one could ever knock him out. But yeah, the favorite pick at the time was that he'd have too much skills, Taylor, and he'd beat him on points. And so that's what I was feeling. So yeah, super nervous, and didn't actually think he was going to do what he did.
Yeah. Now, before we get into the highlights of the fight, you talked about the chin. But the chin does get tested, as we'll see. Did you fear at round 3 that it was over?
The way he went down, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And obviously, what you said there, where Taylor's Achilles heel was he couldn't necessarily finish as well as some of the other boys could. That was a blessing because he had him hurt. He caught him flush, by the way, absolutely flush. But that's the thing with the Cobra. His recovery powers was insane. And that, you think about the shot he got hit with Groves. Like his recovery powers were unbelievable, and he had a full career. And it's interesting to think about this. I mean, maybe we'll save it till the end. But if I forget, let's talk about the Super Six when we end, just to talk about the magnitude of what this man did. But yeah, I was very nervous when he went down. Very nervous.
Okay, we're going to see that now. Round 3 will be in the highlights. So enjoy. Carl Froch versus Jermain Taylor. What year was it again? 2000, 2008. Roll the tape.
Jermain Taylor enters the ring tonight looking for redemption. The former he's defending his title for the first time against a former undisputed world champion. And he has to go to the back of the line. Round 1, scheduled for 12. Super middleweight, nice right hand by Taylor. He's already taken to be set up, as opposed to going for knockouts right away.
2009.
Big right by Fox, but can't against Bernard Hopkins, Kelly Pavlik, even did it most recently against trying to pace himself.
That left hook of Taylor's is a problem shot.
When he uses them, he's a tough guy to handle. To take the vacant WBC crown, Pascal was undefeated. Not landing his jab, and he has a great jab. There's the uppercut. Now that had a very nice right hand there. Didn't do much damage to Taylor. Now Taylor, 2008. In Tennessee, that fight was a WBC super middleweight cut. Who defeated?
Do you feel? I felt that Froch's left hand was always too low for me. And he kept getting caught by that left hook all the way through. I think, how many times? This was the big round. There it is. But as you said, the power recovery and the lack of finish and activity by Taylor allowed Froch to start to dominate the second half of the fight.
Left hand by Froch.
Froch started, by round 7 onwards, starting to find the combinations. The jab followed by the right hand. He started using it more, and he really started to open up Taylor. But he was still susceptible. That bloody left hook.
Nice left. If he can go 6 through 12 with the same kind of intention. Challenges still out there, and many wondered.
Bit of afters there.
Nice jab by Pavlik.
You can hear them shots. The massive shots.
Both fighters exchanging. He's found his range. He said, it was in my mind every second. And here we are in rounds. Taylor, nice work at the end of the round. And so far, that's true in this fight with Froch when he had him in trouble. Doubling up the jab. Landed in round 6.
Now, Froch, for me, took 5 of the last 6 rounds in this fight. But the single shots coming back from Taylor were not enough.
To a great extent. You know, he beat a legend of Bernard Hopkins to Pavlik.
Oh, that big right hand again from Froch. The jab was really frustrating. It was a battle of the jab all night, really, in reality. But Taylor was winning it.
He has it backed up by Taylor.
But the right hand was the difference coming behind for Froch.
Right cross through. Taylor putting his punches together at the end.
But Taylor would steal rounds, if you ever noticed. Carl Froch would do a lot of good work and then allow Taylor to steal it, and even Robert McCracken was getting mad at him.
Out of gas in the tank, folks. He said he'd been eating one. I don't know if Robert McCracken's
but still, Froch was starting to impose himself on Taylor.
That's the only one he's
and he was quietening down the American crowd. If you notice, you look at the crowd, they're not animated at all. They're looking with worry. They know Froch has got an incredible chin. He's took the best of what Taylor can offer.
Looping right hand. That's all right. Some blood coming out of the nose of Taylor. Uppercut by starting to creep into his head.
Starting to beat him up now.
Let him come back and put together a combination. Taylor blocks the left hook. Uppercut.
He's always getting caught now.
That was the way that Taylor would steal these rounds.
Chopping down. The Englishman wants to retain.
But as usual, Froch would come back.
Exactly according
It's that bloody left hand of his was really doing my nothing.
right hand.
So low.
Taylor.
But this is it. This is the end. The start of it.
And he's got him on the block.
The referee let Taylor take some punishment, mind.
Taylor using his jab, eats a right hand, another right hand, and he goes down in trouble. Froch punches and punches,
And he gets up. And then, inevitably, he done it.
Carl, the Cobra Froch.
Incredible performance. There it is. The Nottingham Cobra. Carl Froch.
What a fight. I tell you though, when you look back on it, you were screaming at it the whole way through. For an elite boxing coach like Rob McCracken, he must have drove him insane with his style. Listen, mate, it's not just about the hands down the side. Many boxers do hands behind the sides, but like he even does. You get hammered in the boxing gym for doing the Superman jab, where you don't tuck in and jab, where you do that. And he was doing that a lot, and that's when he was getting countered. Like, it's crazy.
Right. I mean, the jabs would come from all angles with that low left hand. He'd wave it around.
He was leaving little pockets open.
Yeah. I mean, the pocket was his right cheek for the left hook.
Yeah.
You know, but having said that, it is sort of Hatton-esque in the way that he was willing to walk through anything to win that fight. Gets knocked down in the third. He's buzzed. with the lack of a finisher that Taylor showed up at super middleweight, cost him inevitably from an early finish into a bit of a beating over the last 7 rounds, because Carl Froch, although the video, bears testament to Taylor getting the single shots in, Froch was putting combination after combination on Jermain Taylor from round 7 onwards. It wasn't pretty at times. However, Taylor hung in for as long as he could. On hindsight, it was too much for Taylor. His only chance was to get an early knockdown and was to jump on the champion Froch, because this granite chin, as we all know now, was not only part and parcel of Carl Froch, but that will and determination, that knot in your nose to get him through that fight and win in style by stoppage at the end. Beautiful stuff on the way ground, defying the odds.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I think all of these boxers, anybody that jumps through them ropes, mate, they've got something about them, haven't they? And regardless what trolls say, fans say, if you're brave enough to put them gloves on, step in those ropes, you've got heart, you've got desire, you're brave. But then there's different levels of toughness and braveness. And that type of toughness and levels and braveness, you don't see in as many fighters as you do like a stylistic boxer, somebody that's got beautiful, like look this weekend, Josh Kelly. Josh Kelly, his style, unbelievable. Such a slick boxer. But he's missing some ingredients. The one thing about Carl there, yes, it's straight on, it's lunging in with shots, it's the Superman jab. But the one thing he's got a granite chin, and he's got the heart of a lion. And he don't care. You have to nail him to the canvas to beat him. You have to nail him to the canvas to beat him.
You can see it in his eyes, can't you? He's just got that face. This is a man you're going to have to half kill to beat him.
And it's fair to say, when he decided, I know we'll talk about it, just sum it up very briefly before we end the show. When he decided to retire, I think part of it is because he knew that was going, and that's not him as a fighter. He knew that killer instinct of I'm gonna die in this ring tonight. You are not gonna beat me. After those 2 Groves fights, I think he deep down, because he could have got some big money fights after that 80,000 at Wembley. He could have got some more big money fights, and he decided to go out at the right time.
I mean, you talked about the Super 6. What a thing to join after that and add them names to your resume. And people talk about this, Carl Froch, especially from the other side of the water. It just stinks of bitterness and resentment rather than boxing appreciation. Although he's not very many boxers like him are pretty. But look what they achieved and look who he fought.
Yeah. I mean, that Super 6, when you look at the names in there, Durrell, Andre Ward, Kessler,
Abraham.
These are tough.
Johnson.
These are tough fighters. Tough fighters. That was. I know they've tried something similar, but that was phenomenal what they put together there. Absolutely phenomenal. And obviously Andre Ward was in there. Undefeated Andre Ward was as he says, was just one step too far for him. But you know what? What a night again. What a night. And what a series we're having here. The fights that we've covered so far, I mean, these are certainly very, very close to my heart, just because these were two fighters that I got behind. And you can't watch any of the highlights or any of the fights, for me as a fan anyway, and not be beaming with just buzzing, just bouncing. And I was really looking forward to this show, because this really is what the vision of what we set out to do, was to discuss fighters with a passion that defied the odds. And these two certainly did that on their respective nights.
Incredibly so. And for 2 different reasons. One was Ricky Hatton on home ground. He's the challenger, because nobody give a monkey's about the WBU.
No.
The Americans were saying he's a protected, padded fighter, and Kostya will make an example of him. That didn't happen. Carl Froch, the champion, on away ground against the disadvantages of home, a baying crowd. It's just polar opposites.
Yeah.
But the result was exactly the same. To summarise very quickly from me, Ricky Hatton became the boxing legend on that night against Kostya that elevated him to go on to such fights as Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, and Carl Froch, from what he did to elevate him to the Super Six, to the Andre Wards, the Dirrells, the Johnsons, and so on. Wonderful careers, two legends, and for me, two very enjoyable moments in my boxing fandom. Brett, what do you say, you?
From our generation, mate, of boxing fan, I dare say that these are two of the most rewatched fights. Agree?
Yes.
Where
absolutely.
You've had a bad day at work, you've come home, sorted the kids out, you took the dog for a walk, and you want a bit of a pick me up. These are one of your two fights that you would put on for sure. They're in the top 5 anyway, and for all the right reasons, for what it meant at the time, for the fighters and the respective fan bases, and let's not forget for British boxing, because British boxing at the time was forever seen as they're all right, they'll have a go, but they're nothing special. They won't beat the Americans, they won't beat the Mexicans. They ain't got it in. And yeah, listen, it's too far for a lot of these fighters. Hatton took his steps too far. Froch took a step too far. And they absolutely they did have their day where it wasn't their day. But ultimately, for us fight fans, these are two of those British legends that have brought us memorable evenings and fighters that will go down in all of our hearts when all's said and done. And obviously, especially, it's been talked about in this chat, as me being from Nottingham, I do love Carl Froch. But the love that beams out of my chest is for Ricky Hatton and what he meant to British boxing. And I'm so happy we got to kind of analyse one of his fights, mate.
Absolutely. Well said, mate. Very well said. My sentiments exactly. Rest in peace, Mr. Ricky Hatton. It's been a wonderful career, sir. You give us very, very wonderful memories, and our thoughts and still our condolences go out to his family and friends. It still must be raw, must be hard. But please support the Ricky Hatton Foundation. All the details, you'll find them. We'll put them up next week. But two legends defied the odds, two absolute beautiful boxing legends who showed the Americans and the rest of the world British grit is something else in the arena of war. We're known for it. And you have to put us down. And if you don't, we're going to take you to the trenches. Yeah, great stuff. Mate, thank you very much for joining me once again here at Red Corner Boxing. Invaluable knowledge on not only Carl Froch and Ricky, but Ricky Hatton too. And you're just your all-round, yeah, I know. Thanks very much. General knowledge on things, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. Before this dog gets out of control, Mr. Neutral will say that this show is sponsored by EasyStories.com and Boxing Fight Zone. We will be back tomorrow night for the review show of this weekend's boxing, the preview show, I should say. Many cards to choose from, and we'll be back. But for myself and Brett the Boxing Man, see you soon. We'll see you next time.
I'm moving. I'm going. I can't stop. I got motion. I'm moving. I'm going. Can't lose focus. I got motion.